Guys, this video will bless you. A video of Professor PLO Lumumba. Watch till the end. Thank you.
And we who are here as professionals today, it is a day to interrogate ourselves, to ask ourselves questions wherever we are, whether we can pass the litmus test. Suppose there was to be a rupture today, that Christ were to come today, on the basis of the criteria that is provided in the Bible, would you get to heaven? Ask yourself that question. It is not the number of services that you attend every year. It is not the tithe and offerings that you pay. Would you get to heaven by your very actions? And this is what makes me make reference to the story of the Good Samaritan, recorded in the book of Luke, as I said a little earlier, chapter 10, verses 29 through to 37. And Christ was answering what was essentially a very simple question. Who is your neighbor? That was the question that was posed. And who is your neighbor? It would have been possible for him to say that your neighbor is he or she who lives next to you. But he did not answer in that way. He said, there was a man who was traveling that road, that dangerous road. And he was ambushed by robbers. And when he lay there dying, a Levite passed. Levites, we are Latter-day Levites. They did nothing. Another believer passed, did nothing. And then there came a Samaritan. And in order to understand the context of this story, you must understand the status of the Samaritans during the times when Christ walked on the surface of this earth. And this Good Samaritan, we now call him the Good Samaritan, said, he took care of him and went to the inn and said, take care of him. And if there is any additional expense, you tell me. Today, courtesy of his actions, we say he was a good Samaritan. How many of you professionals here have found yourselves in situations where you could have been a good Samaritan, but you are not? How many of you here who are lawyers in government institutions, who when called upon to do that which is good and right, you seek to be bribed first? How many of you here, I'm not asking you to raise your hands, but I'm asking you to inspect your heart. How many of you here who are doctors, upon whom it fell to save life, and asked many questions, irrelevant questions, and lives were lost? How many of you here are engineers who compromise the standards and qualities of our roads that you may become rich? How many of you? How many of you who are reporters here who will distort what we are saying today? How many of you? Because when you find yourself in any situation where your acts or omissions can harm another, that other is your neighbor. This is the message. So, as to who is your neighbor changes from time to time, but your conduct must never change. In other words, as professionals, we must make painful choices